Last but not least, obviously, this person doesn't need an intro, but I'm going to give him one intro. As history will show, this coach was responsible for making the Towson men's lacrosse program an elite Towson University athletic program. He taught his players that you judge your teammates by the size of their hearts, and you respect the wants of your team above your own. He created the importance of the strong family bond that we all share to this day. It is my honor and privilege to introduce my good friend and Coach Runk. Are you going to need the microphone?
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me now? First of all, I'd like to just make a presentation to a gentleman who really held this group together. I think Tommy did a hell of a job of talking about it before. But I was digging upstairs and things started to pop out of drawers. And I found a t-shirt, 50 years old, and it's brand spanking new and it's never been worn. And I'd like to present to a guy who's been our glue over these, the glue and the core of our lacrosse group over these years. Mouse, here you go.
Squeeze it on, Mouse.
Just don't take anything off to put it on.
Look, I bumped it. Turn around, Mouse. That sounds like us at 75.
I never saw the back of a song like that. It's going to be better. 50 years old. I'm almost as old as you. Hey guys, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I didn't know whether I was going to make it or not. I had a little trouble getting up here from Florida. We got on 75 coming north from Naples, and we had an accident. We didn't have an accident. There was an accident ahead of us, and I had to go and take a detour, which I did. And on the detour, I don't know how I got on the daggum road, but I was driving up a dirt road, nothing around, no lights, no homes, nothing. I'm saying, what the hell am I doing out here? And at that point, well, I started, they're trying to save javelina and wild pigs down in Florida. And this pig run in front of me and I hit him. And I was worried and I jumped out the car and I looked at the pig and he was just laying there and I thought I killed him. And then I looked at my dash and the dash was okay. And then the pig, he was just knocked out. He got up and took off running. And I'm saying, what the hell do I do now? I said, I hit a pig, nobody's here, no homes, nothing here. And at that point, a long story short, a couple days later, I got a ticket in the mail for $240 from the state police. And I was so upset, it's a hell of a lot of money to pay for a ticket for hitting a pig that nobody saw.
How did the police know?
Can't hear you, Keith.
How'd the police know?
The pig squealed. I think about it all the time. And we were so fortunate in that year. I think back about what do you get on a team? Well, you got leaders, and then you got workers, and then you got gripers. And I don't have to tell you anything. What you hope you got a couple leaders that are pulling the workers up with you, and then you're going to have a winning season. You don't want the gripers to get in that middle group because they'll pull them down. They want everybody to feel to do exactly what they're doing, you see. Maybe they're upset they're not playing, that kind of thing. But we had tremendous leadership on our team. And it started with our captains, Tommy, Wendell, and Jeff Clark. Jeff Clark's not here today because he's just having a hard time. And I'm going to be in touch with him as soon as we go on home, but he's struggling a little bit.
but Jeff was a good leader for us. Tommy and Wendell, they did the best they could. And one thing I'm really proud of with those three captains is that back then, the prestigious game was a North-South game. And we had all three of those guys were invited to the North-South game. We were the only team, I think, ever to have three players go to the North-South game, and they went down to, I think they played down in Alabama. I think we were trying to spread the game out, and it was down in Alabama, but we had our captains, all three captains, playing that game, and I was really happy about that. That stands out in my mind. And then we had leadership from the older group, you see, the senior citizens. We had Larry Stratton, we had Joe Dyer. They really pulled a lot of weight. Now they represent AARP now. They didn't realize the inspiration they were to our players, Joe and Larry Stratton. So I appreciated that. I'd like to talk a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit about the three people that we departed. We had, you guys got to help me out. I'll flop out real quick. Mitch Lekis and Joe Ferrante. Joe Ferrante, what a beautiful person he was. And Joe, he would go through a wall for you, but you know what? You had to show him what wall. And he got through it. He did it. He would do a hell of a job. You would work with Joe, and you would show something to him on defense. You never had to worry about it again. He did exactly what you said. And I'm going to, later on, I'm going to tell you a little story about Joe I think you'll enjoy. And then we had Mitch Lekis. He's probably the quickest player I've ever had. I've never seen a person with the quick reactions that Mitch Lekis had. And he played high percentage lacrosse, and him and Chazzy, salt and pepper. I mean, they played so well together. They were a great combination. I was glad to have him. And he played high percentage, and he played good, strong lacrosse all the time, Mitch Lekis. And then Jeff, help me out. Darky. What can you say about Darky? I'll tell you what I remember about Darky. Darky won a lot of awards, but what sticks out in my mind about Darky is that we scrimmaged the University of Maryland on the old field. And the University of Maryland had a ball player by Urso, Frank Urso, who everybody was telling Frank Urso this, Frank Urso that. And I thought, let's see how good Frank Urso is. I'm going to put Jimmy D'Arcangelo on him because that's what people would like to see. Two of the best players in lacrosse going against one another. Now, Urso, I think, Joe, you remember how many goals? I think he scored 3 goals. And I think Darky scored 3 or 4. But Darky took the ball away from Urso 3 times. And that's what I remember. And I remember Urso being one-dimensional, Darky being 3-dimensional. Man, he was offense, defense, loose ball. He was all over the place. So that's the memory about D'Arcangelo that I really remember. What an outstanding athlete he was. Gang, I'm going to have to go through these cards. I'm trying to find myself here. Okay. I will build to somebody. Get in there. Now we talk about the championship game. When we played that championship game, that was really an exciting game. But I can't remember anything about the first 3 quarters. All I know is we score a bunch, they score a bunch. We score a bunch, they score a bunch. And anyhow, we got to the 4th quarter, and I called the timeout, and I got the guys in. And I remember saying this. I told them, I said, fellas, I said, this is a tough game. If we ever reach down for more energy, for more spitefulness, you got to do it now. You got to come up and play harder than you ever played before. And then everybody's cheering, and the guys are going up. Tommy Moore comes up to me. I'm a nervous wreck. Tommy Moore comes up to me and puts his hand on my shoulder. Coach, we're going to win it for you. Don't worry about it. And I said, God dang, I'm going to give my cardiologist a call. I cancel that meeting. But anyhow, that's something I remember about Tommy and about that championship game. And plus, when we were leaving, we were all elated on the bus. They had the old bus. And in the back, the window was open. And Mouse stuck his head out that goddamn window. And he was flirting with the co-eds. You know, 2 blocks later, we got stopped by the police, and they were giving us a ticket for indecent exposure.
That's a fact.
Hold on, Mouse.
That's what he was doing.
here we go. I have special memories, and I'm going to go through this real quick. Special memories. Bob Greeley, hell of a lacrosse player. But what I remember about Bob is we played Washington College. We hated Washington College. They hated us. And they had a player come up in the middle of the game, and that fucker come up, and he smacked me. He went and hit me in the face. And I thought to myself, what the hell? If you're going to hit somebody, hit him. He goes like a pencil neck demon. And out of nowhere, I see a flash. It's Bob Greeley. Bob Greeley nailed that poor bugger, but he hit that deck like a turd from a tall cow's ass. Knock the hell out of him. I want to grab Bob and give him a big hug. But what really surprised me is the officials called, I think they called unnecessary roughness. They gave him a minute. They gave the other player. The other player hit a coach, and they kept him in the game. But that's how it was back then. You know, that's how you played. But Bob, I love you for that. I'm going to tell you, we had a ball game with a club. I can't recall what team it was, but we get a timeout, and Greeley comes up and says, Coach, they got a coach behind us, and every quarter he's switching and copying down our plays. And I'm saying, who is it? He says, it's, I hate to tell you, Dick Watts from UMBC. Dick Watts, and I looked at Dick Watts, he's got a clipboard. He's right behind the cage on the offensive end, and he's copying down everything. I said, Bob, here's what I want us to do. I said, get the guys. I said, here's what we're going to do. When you go back there, you get the ball out of bounds. When you bring it inbounds, I want you to call out, fun loving Blue Jays, fun loving Blue Jays. And for the Hopkins team, right? Fun loving Blue Jays. So anyhow, he comes out and he calls out, and I said, I want you guys helter-skelter. Run all over the place. Just see if he can copy that down. And you know what? It happened. He come in and he's writing like hell. I think Watts is writing like hell behind the cage. And at that point, we go and the game's over, game ends, and we're laughing about it. I go to watch him play somebody. When he played us, we said it just for spite. Fun loving Blue Jays, and he started yelling Blue Jays. And then he played the University of Baltimore, and God bless it, he copied that. I don't know what he copied down, but he tried to run it against the University of Baltimore. That's what we're dreams. Jeff Clark, this is something that happened to me to Jeff. It was a funny situation. We went up to New York. I was officiating a wrestling match, and it was late, and I had to pick Jeff up, and then we drove up to New York. You've got the Southern States Parkway. Joe, help me out if I'm wrong. You got the Northern States Parkway, and then you got the middle. And all the action is on the middle one, right? We're tired. It's around 11:30. We pull into this hotel. And I'm really tired, Jeff's tired, and anyhow, we get into this hotel, and I go up to the cash register, and I tell the guy, I said, he looks at us, he looks at Jeff, and then he looks at me, and he says, can I help you? I said, yeah, I want a room. And he looked at me, and he looked at Jeff, and then he said, well, what kind of room do you want? I said, I want to get, he says, I've got the extra large. He says vibrators and you know, and then he says, well, how long do you want it? I said, for a night. He says, a night? I can't, this is the Lord's truth. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. And he says, you don't want it for half an hour? You don't want it? I said, I want it for a night. So we went in and we got the room, and the guy was shaking his head. Anyhow, we were in bed. Jeff's got his bed. I got mine. We got a mirror above us, and then the red vibrators. Anyhow, we got all like long course, and I'm saying, "What the hell is this? All kind of noise outside." So I went outside. Jeff gets up and he looks outside. He said, "Coach, they got women out there with these carts, and they're cleaning the rooms." And I said, "Jeff, what the hell kind of place is this?" He says, "I don't know." He said, "But I don't think it's a good one." I got stuck in there, and I'll tell you what, Jeff was in his side, and I laid on mine, and I said to myself, don't look at the mirror up on the ceiling, because if I look up at that mirror and I look over to Jeff, and he's over there smiling, I'm the hell out of here. That to me was a funny thing. It's a memory that I had. And then Joe Ferrante. Joe goes out, and we're playing Syracuse. Syracuse has got a great big defensive player. He's an All-American football player, and he's a lacrosse player. They got him up on the midfield as a long stick, I believe, and he's coming down. He's knocking the hell out of us on face-offs. And I got upset, and I called timeout, and I grabbed Joe. I said, Joe, here's what you got to do. And who was it? O'Leary. Ron O'Leary was officiating. I said, Joe, here's what you got to do. Joe, you got to, when that whistle blows, I want you to pick up, maybe his number is 24. I want you to go after number 24, Joe, and you knock the hell out of him. And anyhow, he said, yes, sir. You get Joe down. Anyhow, O'Leary starts to face off, blows the whistle. And then at that point, he blows the whistle, and then he blows it again. They had some kind of fault or something. He stops it, but it didn't stop Joe. And that big dodo was standing there, and Joe knocked the hell out of him. I wanted to take him by mistake dinner. That's how Joe was. He was just that kind of player. And anyhow, there's some of the memories that I've got. And the last one is Wendell Thomas. And my wife loved Wendell Thomas. She really thought the world of that guy. And she said, you know, we should have more youngsters like him. And I said, well, Wendell's a sweetheart, honey. He really is. And she says, who the hell do you have on your team that takes that many credits and is getting great grades? I said, we're struggling with them, trying to get them to get on out there as far as the grades are concerned. And then she wanted to know how many guys go to work after practice and have got to work through the night. You know, and Wendell has to work through the night. And he worked at a bakery in Essex. And anyhow, he called me one time and he says, Coach, he says, got a problem. I said, what's that? He didn't call me, he called his boss. He told me this story. He called his boss, he's working in the bakery, and he says, Coach, he said, we got to fire, or to the owner, we've got to fire her. And he said, the place is really having a hard time. And he says, and the owner says, well, Wendell, is it that important that I got to come over? He said, well, you got 3 alarm. He says, it's really going up. He says, the owner finally had to leave. And I said, Wendell, I can't believe that. You had a fire in a bakery. You got all that dough there, and you got water coming on it, and it's burning. You're going to have the biggest donut in town. And then Wendell, he agreed with me. He said, Coach, how many people are in your group teaching? And I said, about 18 of us. He said, I'm going to get you 18. You need 18? I said, yeah, what the hell, 18 donuts in the morning. I thought 18 donuts. I come in my office, Wendell was there earlier, he packed up 18 dozen goddamn donuts in my office, and here I am spreading, everybody thinks I'm doing a good job, and I say, Runk's got a lot of money. But I think Wendell brought them in for me. Anyhow, gang, I'm going to close it now. I just want you to know I love you guys. You guys really mean a lot to me, and I just feel that we stick together. We stick together, and it's so important. I had a lot of good things happen to me during my lifetime, and I think the most important thing was my family, and the second thing was meeting you all. So God bless you.